Hello, viewers. Tonight, I would like to talk about Japan, specifically the matter of immigration. It is a very hot topic on YouTube right now, especially with new Japanese YouTubers who are, for whatever reason, making videos directly targeted to English speakers, basically on an international scale, to essentially complain about immigrants and immigration, and not really very much talk about why their government is seeking mass immigration for labor and other purposes. Japan, if you do not know, is having a major population problem. In other words, they lack young citizens. They have a lack of youthful young workers. They have a labor shortage. They have an aging population. On a scale that is, I do not think there is any Western nation, so to speak, any nation in the West, so to speak, that is basically facing a population problem on that scale, as far as I know. And so this all is connected to the Japanese birth rate and the fact that their population is not replenishing itself, and it will not replenish itself in time for the effects of their population shrinking to essentially be prevented. In other words, what is going to happen is going to happen, and it's going to happen sooner rather than later. To be frank. Now, you would think many Japanese people would not be essentially talking to foreigners about this, because obviously this is a Japanese problem. It has nothing to do with us Americans. Not one thing. This is something you would think many Japanese YouTubers would be talking about in Japanese. But for whatever reason, they feel the need, it would seem, to court how should it be said, many of the MAGA people here in the United States, and many of the more right-wing parties in Europe, for whatever reason. And you would think, well, you don't want those same people to come to your country, but at the same time you are trying to get them to listen to you and your plight. Why? For what reason? It seems somewhat cowardly to me to do. These are opinions you would think, why would you make YouTube channels based on this? But this is exactly the situation that I will be talking about. I will be referring to this document more than a few times during this video. The man I'm responding to today is Teriyaki Japan 999. Very odd name. Peradventure, he's doing some manner of numerology with the number. I know that 9 is the number of black magic, and he has an image here where we have the eye. He's doing something here with the eye. This one is more enlightened, whereas this is darkened. I just know some things about numerology and symbolism. Peradventure, this person is not trying to show us something here, but I think he is. Anyhow, that's more of an esoteric topic. He is new. Thus far, he has 2 videos. He really is showing off this video of this woman talking about how Japan is going to be the nation of rapine, Okay, you can see the words right there. A country of rape, saith this woman. Very interesting statement to make. Considering that Japan, we are going to talk about how ridiculous this claim is, because the truth is that Japan is famous for rape, for rapine, for sexual assault, even going back to World War II. So the fact that he has a short like this, and the video we're going to be reviewing, he really wants to promote this woman. He think if this is some manner of proud moment. Well, if it was so proud, and apparently this is a high schooler, but I say here in the United States, people are not afraid to show their faces. And that's a cultural difference, but at the same time, if you're going to insult, different people groups, and many of us know what you're talking about, it's more brave to show your face. Even women here in this country, even the most ardent bigots, many of them here in the United States, they will show their face. And I respect that. I respect that about my nation, Souffle. I don't respect people who say things like this and, let's cover their face up. No, show your face. Let's see their face. Because that is an awfully wild, I would say, big claim to make. But oftentimes when I do video responses, I sort of like to think that the people who watch them will think and do some introspection. Now, there was a person who came to the channel. They were all my comment sections, very supportive at first, it seemed. Then they started talking about Haitian deportations. And I gave my opinion about deportations in the United States. Barack Obama deported more people than Donald Trump. Deportations are a natural function of a nation, especially when the immigration is illegal. All right? I am not necessarily against immigration, especially when the economy in the nation, the nation's social security system is at stake because you do not have enough young workers to pay to essentially pay taxes, to maintain a social security and welfare net for the older population, even the homeless programs. You need young workers to make money to give to school systems from taxes. You need that for homeless programs. You need that for city initiatives. Young workers have to work and make money for countries to function. Countries use people as fuel. Countries are abstract concepts. My issue with immigration in the United States is the devaluation of the American labor force. And for the purpose of this video and some obvious clarification, I will not be utilizing the terms unskilled and skilled labor. If you are doing labor, you have some type of skill. I will not be utilizing that demarcation because I believe that even things such as farm labor, just like Cesar Chavez believed, should be unionized. I believe that all labor should be unionized, and when you have workers who will work for less to undercut people, I don't like that. But in Japan's case, you have a whole labor shortage. You have birth rate problems, labor shortages, aging, all types of problems. They need immigration to essentially survive as a nation. So essentially, this man in this video is going to admit all of that, and then go blatantly against the logic that he would display early in the video. He's going to admit all of this, and it would seem pretend that the things that he said that were correct do not matter. But anyhow, for this video response, as I said, this person seemeth to be rather suspicious in terms of his purpose, because I really do not think, and of course you can tell what kind of video this is. Don't come. So you're talking to us in English. Don't come. Well, you're talking to us foreigners in the English language, which is not Japanese. You're talking to us in the international language of trade. Why are you doing this? Why don't you just speak Japanese to other Japanese people, since you're telling people not to come, while at the same time essentially antagonizing immigration to Japan. But in many, this is a very interesting situation, because the only support they will get will be from many right-wing people, so-called conservative people, many of which are not conserving religious values, but rather conserving nationalistic and racial values. It's very interesting, but as I said, I do not believe this person is really going to benefit from the response, so I'm essentially doing this for the education of all. It is always nice to think that when you tag someone could potentially look at it and think about what they're saying. But in regard to this person, I'm going to basically say what I need to say, speak truthfully, and speak essentially with as much honesty as possible, so that I can really present to you what is happening in Japan and what is happening in the United States with many of these movements. Now, my stance in regard to immigration is very simple. There was a person who came here, and it seemed as though they no longer leave comments here. They sort of essentially went, and at some point in time, because they asked me to talk about Haitian deportations, and as I said, I told you exactly what I think. I believe in the unionization of American labor, especially due to the fact that people of the black social status have essentially been undercut, especially bad, and have been a very prominent part of the labor force in the United States, and that particular aspect of American labor has been extremely damaged. There are enough people here in the United States to create a consistent, replenishable labor force. The same was true even in regard to the Farm Workers Union, when you had citizens, many of which were Latino, who were undercut by illegal immigrant labor. They were working for essentially better wages. They had their own union. The Farmers Workers Union is essentially useless now, because the anti-labor initiatives were so strong that they essentially undercut any of that. Essentially. So that is my stance in regard to the United States. My stance is very simple. In regard to Japan, it is obvious for anyone to see what is happening. What is happening is a cultural problem where these people, these Japanese citizens, because we're talking about citizens, the citizens themselves are not producing enough children. Their birth rate is going down. As I said, the population's aging. They need more people. Their labor, the companies are having problems. They need workers. Many of the young people do not want to do laborious work. They don't want to go into construction industry. You need buildings built. You need people to build them. All of this is obvious. But you have a nationalistic, xenophobic element within Japanese society, and people who are capitalizing on it. And we're going to see how that connective to Russia, and how the same Russian connection is in the United States as well. My stance, as I said, is very simple. I am for unionization, and therefore illegal immigration is damaging to unionization. However, legal immigration is part of the country to a certain extent. Deportations are also part of the country's functions. However, I am not essentially against immigration. However, I do acknowledge the challenges that immigration in general in the United States has posed to people of the black social status, who are essentially, on the complexion-based scale of the United States, the lowest social status. All right, in comparison to the white social status. But anyhow, viewers, without further ado, I think it is time I play this video. Before I begin, let me say something, because if he is watching this, he will want to know how I am going about this. What I will say is this. I will not be playing his video in regard to the video portion. I'm going to be playing audio, stopping, talking, and giving commentary. That is how these videos work. I will be playing the part of the video that he shared of this woman essentially ranting about how, the immigrants are coming. Japan is going to become essentially a country for pine, and it's terrible. It really is no better than many women of the white social status here who try to get bigoted men of the white social status to get up in a frenzy and essentially engage in racial violence. And this is a long historical thing here in the United States. And when they're talking about immigrants doing that, they're talking about the darker immigrants, the darker Africans, the darker Indians, the darker Filipinos who may come to their country. The image that we have is not of a European. But we're going to talk about how Japan is already a country for pine, to be frank. So, anyhow, without further ado, let me cut the volume up so I can hear this. I think you can hear it on your end too. So let's get to playing it.
Hey guys, I'll just get straight to the point. So, as you guys probably know, the current Japan's Prime Minister Ishiba has made some headlines by announcing this plan to set up some Japanese cities as hometown for people from Africa. And the government has also announced...
Why are you telling us? Why art thou telling us? Souffle, why? Why art thou telling us that they're doing this? Why art thou not speaking in Japanese to other Japanese people? Dost thou peradventure want particular bigoted people of the white social status to come to aid you in this endeavor of preventing the immigration of black African people? Africans of the black social status? I wonder why he would be doing this. It is all very curious. Let us continue.
That Japan will take 50,000 skilled and semi-skilled workers from India over the next 5 years. And recently, the TSCAD Africa Conference opened in Yokohama, where Japan announced it would train 30,000 people in Africa in the field of AI and digital technology. So today, like the title says, I want to talk about how Japanese people actually feel about it, how I actually feel about immigration in Japan as a Japanese.
All business. Immigration itself is a natural function of countries. It doth not matter how thou feelest about it, because it is itself part of the economic engine of a nation. Thou mayest not like it. However, it occurreth for very obvious reasons. To bring money into the country, to train people, to have people to work in a country that has a labor shortage. But all of what he said, correct. They want African and as well as Indian workers. Now, Africa and India, oftentimes, although India doth have people who are tawny and in some cases the same skin shade as many Japanese people, there are many people from India who do have darker shades of skin, often related to the Dasyu, the indigenous Indian race that is a very strong mixture among the Indian peoples. We know most African citizens, or rather most citizens of African countries, are what may be called of the black social status, which is essentially a demarcation created by European peoples. There are many people of the black social status in Africa, and so when he saith this, Many people in those countries of the black social status, recognized all over the world as black because of their darker features, their woolly hair. I myself am of the black social status, a black American, so to speak. That is my lineage. That is my heritage. Anyhow, these countries are going to be bringing in people who have darker shades of skin. Keep this in mind when he is talking about immigration. And keep this in mind, he is speaking the English language. He wants foreigners to hear him. I wonder why. It seemed very suspect to me.
This person. But first, my English isn't perfect, so thanks for bearing with me. To start off, let me explain what's...
Well, in sooth, it is good enough. To be honest. Alright, the fact that he's doing this video in English should be very revealing about his intentions. He had enough English aptitude to write on the video thumbnail, "Don't come." Very interesting. Choice of words.
Really going on in Japan. So, the birth rate keeps dropping, and the percentage of elderly people is rising up. As a result, the working population is shrinking fast. This is leading to serious labor shortages. This is why the government has come up with ideas like...
Well, in sooth, it is the only idea they can practice. If the Japanese population is not having enough children, they have to receive workers and revenue from somewhere, thus the tourism, thus the immigration, thus the eventual naturalization of immigrants as citizens who can pay taxes, as well as keep the social security system in Japan functioning to essentially provide revenue for that system so that the older population can be taken care of. This is obvious. This man has already explained the whole Japanese situation in total. He has already done it. This is why they're having cultural exchange programs, they're having immigration programs, they are having training programs. They are trying to build a certain degree of what may be called soft influence in the world. In other words, these are things they are doing to get workers and people into their country. All right? Now, I think I probably wanted to sort of save this for later, but let us get started talking about the information. We have here, let's talk about the labor shortage for a little while. Let's bring up a link, souffle. Okay, this was not really what I wanted to do, because I had a link here that was a bit... Okay. I have to use the find button. I have my links all set up. But we're going to look at some stories here. Construction's a big industry. You need to be able to construct buildings for any nation. You need buildings. This is obvious. So you have why young Japanese are moving away from the construction industry. So we have Japan's construction industry is facing a labor shortage. Fewer young Japanese people are joining the sector, while many older workers are nearing retirement. Well, isn't that interesting? Okay. They're trying to get out of the workforce, the older ones are, and the younger people, many younger people, are essentially trying to, they don't even want to join this type of work. So if you want to be a country like Japan with development, so to speak, and you need to develop, you need buildings built. Okay, you need construction workers. If no one wants to do the work, then they need to get someone else to do the work. The nations do not care about what color they are. They do not care if they came from Africa or India. They need workers. All right? Here in the United States, we have plenty of people. And frankly, I think the whole workforce, there should be a mass unionization effort, but we do not live in the perfect world. I even think prison labor, that is exploited as slave labor, that should be reformed. That should not be slave labor. Even the work of prisoners should be unionized, and those people should receive far better rehabilitation than they do. But the American system is not what we're talking about today. What we are talking about is Japan. And the fact is that we can find story after story like this. Workers getting out of the workforce. We have a story here why Japan's Gen Z is quiet quitting work. Well, if they're not doing work, someone needs to do the work. Why they're quitting. Okay, it is a far cry from their parents' generation, but 20-something Japanese are happy to sacrifice career and better pay for an improved work-life balance. Well, you want to cut back? Well, we need to get someone to do it, and there's less young people in this country than ever, and the population is aging. Okay, and the nation has long been synonymous with working hard and showing unswerving loyalty to an employer. More and more Japanese are quiet quitting their jobs. So if you have people quiet quitting, obviously, there's going to be an effort to import people. And in this situation, the country cannot afford to do that, and so they're importing more people in. If they do not like that, they ought to start basically bolstering their population through births, and that is not happening. So, there's stories like this. So we have here, this is an older story of them saying, of particular Japanese individuals saying no to unskilled workers. Part of the general collective, the idea that is Japan, part of it, as citizenry. But the nation doth not care about what color you are. They doth not care about what race you are. The nation wanteth money. Nations are concepts. Nations are ideas. The nation is a type of metaphysical machine that you are a part of. And if the nation does not have people, it doth not matter how many times you say no, they are going to find someone to do the job you will not do. In December 1995, the Japanese government agreed to accept more skilled foreign laborers, but announced that it would continue to ban the admission of unskilled foreign workers. Well, with an even more shrunken population, even less younger people, I wonder if that idea of essentially banning so-called unskilled workers is even going to hold. Some Japanese companies are extending lifetime employment to their professional foreign workers. So that was in 1996. All right? So we have opposition to immigration for workers even then. All right? We do. So let's go back to this man's video.
African Hometown Project, and they plan to bring in 50,000 workers from India. But here's the thing. The Prime Minister Ishiba is facing a lot of criticism. Here is the footage from the recent Ishiba resign protest in Tokyo. Approximately 10,000 people joined.
Okay. We are going to look at this video that he has shared. He's very proud of this video. He's very proud of the young woman who has to say something about, who's going to say something here. So basically, she's not going to speak yet. So I'm going to play this part. We're going to see this woman speak, and we're going to see what she saith. Let's see, all right?
Approximately 10,000 people joined.
So they're saying traitor to the country because the man and the government, obviously they are going to import, they're going to rather immigrate, not import, goodness Lord. They are going to essentially bring immigrants in the country at some point. And they are still complaining about it, of course, but their birth rates are still stagnant. In some cases, you hear many Europeans complaining about the same thing. about immigration, but the so-called white social status birth rates decrease. And many of those same people who are often bigots who complain about that, they complain about people of the black social status who are citizens of the country, in the country. They complain about people who look different than them who are citizens in the country. All right? But they look different than them. But as far as I'm concerned, the whole world is Roman to an extent, and essentially has copied the Roman system. Your personal identity to an extent is absorbed into the state. It doth not matter what color or hair texture you have. At that point, you are under the governance of the nation, part of the general collective. Whether you're an immigrant working for the nation, in the nation, or you're a citizen who's been naturalized, who has become a citizen in whichever country you're a part of. Everything is worldwide now. You may want to live in a bubble, but you do not.
And honestly, in many other countries, a protest this big could have easily turned into riots.
Not necessarily. This itself is a projection on his part because he wanted to essentially speak as though, oh, well, Japanese people are so civil, you see. And that protest, it doth not even look that big. Oh, this protest could have turned into riots. That protest looks small compared to the protests that are done here in the United States or even in Europe. That protest, it looketh pathetically small, to be honest. So, if anything, that itself shows that there's a lack of people. But, or maybe many people just decide not to turn up because the whole idea of protesting immigration in an aging country, in an old country, in a country where many people, for whatever reason, are not even having children, where there's even fertility problems in the royal family. The idea, I'm sure, is very stupid to many people. But for whatever reason, you have people, why you're making a video in English. No, we do not need to know about this. Talk to your people. You don't want us to come to your country. Why are you speaking English, a foreign language? Why? Why are you doing it? This is the international language of trade, after all. What purpose? Why? What's your purpose? But I know his purpose. He's sort of a propagandist, in a sense. And you can tell this is a new Japanese Sanseito type propaganda channel that is popping up. Sanseito is the new right-wing sort of Japanese first party that they have. Some people call it Japan first, but no, there were people calling it Japanese first. If you hear some of these people saying, oh, it's Japan first. No, not really. They're talking about essentially racial Yamato Japanese. That's what they're talking about. There are at least 3 races in Japan, 3 major people groups that are ethnically distinct. That is Yamato, Ainu in the north, and Ryukyuans in the southern islands. All right? Down in Okinawa, in those areas. All right? So you have at least 3 major race groups in Japan. This is any type of right-wing conservative activity where they're really striding about this stuff. No. Their ideal Japanese person is Yamato Japanese, the dominant group in Japan. Not a minority group, the majority group. Okay, that is who they are talking about. The idea of essentially being stringently against immigration when your biggest ally and one of your biggest trade partners is the United States is quite interesting. The fact that you do not have industries to replace higher paying industries or rather more lucrative industries, now the country is trying to transition to a situation where you don't have a strong labor force, you don't have a strong native labor force. You have to invest more money in tourism because you don't have as many industries available with an aging population and young people who do not want to do hard labor. I personally have no disrespect at all for labor jobs. Not any. But the fact that this has come to the point that it has come to just go off to show that the country is in peril. The country is in peril. It really is. Someone has to do the work. Someone has to do the construction. Now, there are likely going to be all manner of bad deals that are going to be made. All manner of labor abuses that are going to be had. But one thing is certain. If the Japanese public is not going to be doing the work, someone's going to need to. If you have an aging population that cannot do the work, someone's going to need to do it. So when we have this discussion, we can thoroughly embarrass people like this. This is why I have shied away from talking about this subject on my channel. I talked about Japan for other reasons, but not this. This is so easy to disprove, it is ridiculous. So he's saying that could have turned into a riot. Oh, really? That small protest?
Back in Japan.
This is a joke. This is like a little street corner. You see, not every protest becomes a riot here in the United States, contrary to his bad opinion of us, because that's what he is essentially displaying. You're speaking in English, but you're saying that, oh, in our country, we don't riot. And many Japanese people are entirely I will not even say many. There are some individual Japanese people who happen to be very blind in regard to anything going on in foreign countries, and for whatever reason, they seem to think their country is the ideal. And if it was the ideal country where everything's peaceful and harmonious and everything is working out well for you, you wouldn't be speaking English now, talking to us about the problems of your nation. You would not be doing it. Thou doest it because thou knowest that essentially there are right-wingers over here in the United States, MAGA. That's where they got the Sanseito Japan first idea from, was copying Donald Trump. They could not come up with their own unique idea. The United States economy is currently in a state of crisis, and the Japanese people, some, not all, some particular Japanese individuals would like to make the same mistake. And if they happen to, gain any ground in Japan, they will. And Russia will be very happy as the Japanese nation weakeneth. As for me, I am a Christian. My faith is in the kingdom of heaven. I do not have any stake in this, but let me just talk about it frankly, because I see a lot of stupidity. Anyhow, let's continue the video. All right?
Even in situations like this, people still hold peaceful
This is small.
demonstrations.
This is not much. This is pathetic.
And
this is
next clip.
I mean, if that's a big protest for him, yeah, he doesn't know much. He is quite. What is that? What even is that? That's a little street corner. Some people on the side, some people on the road. That's not much. That's small. It does not even sound that loud in comparison to many of the major protests here in the United States. How would that become a riot? Even over here in the United States, really? Not every protest done here in the United States is going to be a riot. Okay, so he has a bad opinion of Americans in general. And I would say Europeans, many, especially British and English people, they have been doing some big protests lately, but many of those protests have been peaceful. Who is he talking about? All right? That is funny. Okay, so he's going to talk about this high school girl. She's going to say some very interesting things. Anyhow.
Clip shows a high school girl crying while protesting.
私はもう本当に
Okay, let's watch this pathetic spectacle that this young woman decided to do. Now, unfortunately, her face is covered by cowards, and if this was something that she requested, she's a coward too. Because what she's going to say is going to be some of the most ridiculous nonsense you have ever heard. At least it dependeth upon who you are. Many of us listen to a great deal of nonsense. I dare say it's hard to say which level of nonsense this is if thou hast heard a great deal of nonsense as I have. Anyhow, let's listen to this woman. Let's listen to this young woman, so to speak, this young high schooler. Okay.
に石破さんのせいで怖くてたまりません。
I really can't stand being scared of Ishida anymore. How pathetic.
お母さんに今日でも行ってくるよって言って出てきましたけど
Okay, I told my mom I'm going to a demonstration today and then left. Okay? I mean, if you are living life and you're scared of politicians, I'm sorry, your parents, your elders, they failed you. They failed to teach you that politics, politicians, the actions of politicians, that's nothing. Teach your children to have faith so they will not have to fear politicians, things happening in the world. Myself, I don't go around afraid of anything. Many of us people of the black social status, we were taught in a somewhat traditional way. Some of us. And some of us just simply have that knowing our history. There's no way a politician is going to make some of us cry. People like me, never. I tell you. And over immigration and an aging population. If this woman, knows anything, all right. If there were more young people having children, having families, whether in wedlock or out of wedlock, because that is a big problem in Asia. Many of these families, they do not want to have children out of wedlock. And I'm just thinking, because that's sort of a cultural taboo. But the truth is, children had out of wedlock are valuable to the nation too. The nation doth not care if the children are out of wedlock or in wedlock, because the truth is that's human capital. That's human population, citizens who can pay taxes and contribute to the country. If you don't have those children, do not complain about the country going down, 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 and it is. And all I have to say is that I do not feel 1 ounce of pity for people who do not realize what really is going on. Do not cry about the politicians. They put themselves in this situation. The people at large, the general collective, put themselves in this situation. All right? I mean, it's just the truth. But all of this discussion is going to be appeal to emotion. Let's really just listen.
やっぱりも
After all, I feel sorry for my parents.
う親にも申し訳なくてその安心する未来が
And there's no future to feel at ease about. Well, okay, keeping immigrants out of the country is going to help how? How? I mean, a social security system that is eventually going to become essentially bankrupt because you're not going to have enough people. I mean, even if that is even possible, essentially you're not going to have a social security system because you don't have enough young people working to pay for the older people who are living. So you need more immigrants. Eventually you're going to need more citizens. You're going to need those same immigrants to become full citizens so they can pay taxes in the country. Okay, and essentially uphold a lot of the welfare systems in that country. You're going to need people contributing money to the country. You're going to need young laborers. You're going to need citizens in the country. You're going to need a young native-born population. And native-born, all that means is essentially you're born in the country and you're a citizen. And so they're going to have to reform their citizenship process. They're going to need more citizens. At some point, they're complaining about immigration now, but they do not realize how far this is going to go. With a country that is in the situation Japan is in, some of you don't realize what this is. But let's get to the point where we're really talking about how serious this stuff is, because this go afar. This go afar. Let's talk about aging out perils. The perils of aging out. Okay. At this point, people are talking about it in a very, very serious way, as though. Here's from CNN. This was May 7th, 2024. Super aged Japan now has 9 million vacant homes, and that's a problem. Well, oh, you don't say. You know, even the news is sort of getting a bit comedic about this, because it's almost funny in a sense. And so even the news articles that you read about it, it's almost like they're poking fun. Okay? And I mean, I tell you, it's quite something. I mean, the news is there. They're telling you the number of vacant homes in Japan has surged to a record high of 9 million, more than enough for each person in New York City, as the East Asian country continues to struggle with its ever-declining population. Let's talk about some real stuff here. Let's not talk about this nonsense that you have some of these right-wing Japanese propagandists spewing. Why is he not talking to Japanese people? Why is he talking in English to us people who are here in the United States, over in Europe and other places? Why? Talk to your own people. Do not talk to us. Okay. Abandoned houses are known in Japan as IKEA, a term that usually refers to the derelict homes tucked away in rural areas, but more IKEA are being seen in major cities such as Tokyo and Kyoto. Those are very populous places, and that's a problem for a government that's already grappling with an aging population and an alarming fall in the number of children born each year. This is a symptom of Japan's population decline, said Jeffrey Hall, lecturer at Kanda University of International Studies in Chiba. Let me take a sip of water, good people. All right. Let me take a breath. It's not really a problem of building too many houses, but a problem of not having enough people, he said. There you go. Well, he said it. All right?
ないこと今石破さん移民を
Right now, Ashiba is trying to bring in a lot of immigrants, and if this continues,
たくさん入れようとしてこのままじゃ日本はレイプ大
Japan will become a country of rape.
国になってしまいます。
Okay, let's talk about this idea that she is essentially positing. Now, you may say, well, what is she talking about? What does that mean? Who is going to be engaging in the rapine? Let's talk about the idea, some of the racist ideas that are very prevalent within the Japanese public. Souffle. This is not to speak of all, because there are many people who are very intelligent and they have an understanding that, wait, you know, some of the stereotypes I have about darker people groups are not, you know, or some stereotypes about darker people groups are racist and untrue. Okay? However, there's a history, especially among the older population of Japanese people, of thinking about Africans, people of the black social status in other countries, a certain type of way. Okay? Basically, people of the black social status, us Nigers, us Negroes. And to some degree, dark Indians as well. In other words, darker Indians from India, not American Indians. But who knoweth? You know, peradventure they would be looked badly upon as well. So we have here, if you do not know about Yayoi Kusama, this is a Japanese contemporary artist. Okay, she was born in Matsumoto, Japan in 1929. Okay, she's avant-garde. She began at an early age doing her art. Let's see what Yayoi Kusama apologizes for. Her past racial remarks. I thought I had something highlighted. Souffle. Let me see. So we have here Kusama's apology, which came the day before her show, Yayoi Kusama Infinite Love, opened at the museum. Referred to passages from her 2002 autobiography, Infinity Net, in which she described black people as primitive, hypersexualized beings. So their ideas that black people, or some people's ideas that black people are hypersexualized beings. Okay? Meanwhile, let's be frank. There is, and this is going to be somewhat disgusting, there is a Japan Penis Festival where they celebrate the male organ in a country that has a population problem where many of the people are not willing to have children. There you go. But we're the hypersexual ones. This is what Kana Mara Matsuri, penis, some type of, a fertility parade. Do not call us the sexual ones. Do not call us the sexual ones. Do not call people of the black social status sexual. Not as sexual as people who have a whole parade about penises. People who are essentially sucking on lollipops shaped like penises. All right? But what did she say? What did she say? Because we need to really emphasize this, because the man, he wants to emphasize this. He wants to emphasize this. Let's hear it again.
このままじゃ日本はレイプ大国になってしまいます。
Does it not sound pathetic? Doth it not sound pathetic? It sounds so pathetic to hear this young. We have people here in the United States like this. We do. Who say the same types of things. I like honesty. I like people who are willing to show their face. This woman has a face mask on, just in case someone sees her face while she is saying this type of stuff. So what did the woman say? She said, in which, black people are primitive, hypersexualized beings in a country where there are penis parades. That's quite rich. Quite rich, right? All right, do not call us sexual when this country is home to penis parades. That is part of Japanese culture. Particular Japanese people come there every single year to celebrate the penis. The fact that you can see it with your own eyes just shows how ridiculous some of this talk is. Oh, this is going to become a country of rape. Oh, really? In a country which celebrates the penis. How ridiculous. How absolutely funny and ridiculous that is. But he was really proud about this. He made a whole short about it. And with the subtitles so we could see, because he felt proud of this young woman. He felt proud of this girl. He felt proud enough for her to basically make him the focal point of a whole short. And I am sure he would like to get a lot of views on that. But his long form video has gotten the most views. That's 3,000.3 views. So the short isn't getting that much. So whatever type of little scammy short to a little clickbait title and thumbnail, it's not working. Okay, obviously YouTube sees it as offensive and they're not promoting this. They're not promoting that, so that he thought he would get more with that thumbnail. He's not. Excuse me. Anyhow, what else did I want to show? Yeah. She said some things also about people of the black social status here. And one of the main things you hear is that they're going to bring in a good deal of people from Africa, right? So anyhow, in this case, she's talking about people of black American descent. So, Kusama also called her New York neighborhood a slum where real estate prices were falling by $5 a day because of black people shooting each other out front and homeless people sleeping there. Those sentences were removed from her later English translation. I do not respect cowards. If you're going to say it with your whole chest. Show it to us. Let us see it. Because you cannot hide anything. If we know, we know. So it's the longest serving curator, Gary Garros, resigned in 2020, soon after a post quoted him saying, "Don't worry, we will definitely continue to collect white artists." And the previous director, okay, this is something else. But basically, these are other examples of some racism in the art world, and I'm not concerned about that. I'm just talking about this woman in general. Okay? She herself is quite infamous. Let me put it that way for these comments. And so she's an older Japanese woman. She has these ideas that, people of the black social status are essentially, they are hypersexualized, right? All right. Sure. Whatever you say, frankly. Let me put it that way. Now, let us continue to listen to this very insufferable young woman. It's painful that I can't reassure my parents' generation. Well, considering how few children are being had there, how many more generations are there going to be in Japan from Yamato Japanese? The Yamato race is essentially in waning. But nations don't care about the color of the skin. Nations care about the money. Some people may think that's not true. The government wants money, and if you're not there to essentially pay taxes, if you don't have enough people, they're going to bring in people. If you're not going to do construction work and labor and farm labor and agricultural labor, they're going to bring other people in. If you have enough people, it will not be a problem. You can say, we want to, or, if you're smart, you'll try to improve working conditions within the labor industries. And that is what I personally advocate for. But in this country, they have quite a lot of problems. A good deal of them have to do with Japanese culture. The problem of the low birth rate and aging population did not come out of nowhere. It did not come out of nowhere.
親の世代を安心させてあげられないのも辛いし、私の子供世代。
And I wonder what will happen to my children's generation. This is a high school girl, remember? And as far as I know, I would not think she would have children as a high school girl. I mean, I can't say if she does or not, but really? Is this young woman going to have children and essentially contribute to raise the birth rate? Because from what I've seen, a lot of these younger people, they don't want to have children. Many of them are not having children. And the fact is, it's too late now to sort of act as though they can offset the population decline by having children at essentially the last minute. No. The population's already went down. I mean, you have to accept some immigration because your population decline is so severe. You have 9 million homes. You have 9 million IKEA. You have 9 million homes that are vacant. Okay, talking about children, let's talk about the next population peril. Let's talk about another population peril, aging out peril that is occurring. And this is the school closures due to population decline. You can't make this stuff up. This is all in the news. This is common knowledge. The new lives of Japan's disappearing schools. School closures in rural areas have accelerated due to Japan's birth rate continuing to fall faster than expected. According to figures released by the Ministry of Health, the new number of babies born decreased by 5.1% to 758,600 and 100 in 2023. That is low. Between 2002 and 2020, 8,580 public schools closed permanently, and more than 450 schools shut their door forever. Year, Sithin 2002. Sithin meaneth since. All right. Anyhow, sometimes I interject older words from early modern English into my speech. I hope that, anyhow, I do it, so I just told you. If you ever wonder what I'm saying, souffle. Anyhow, viewers, let's go. Let's continue. So, she is talking about her children's generation, so I guess she planneth to have children. I would not think that she has children right now as a high school girl, but if she doth, that is interesting.
なんてどうなってしまうんだろう。私が
If I say return the country, please say to return it. Okay, return the country. Isn't that a joke? The countries need people. This is what these imbeciles, sad to say, do not realize. They act foolish because I'm thinking, all right, you all could have been raising the birth rate in a dedicated manner, but it's too late now. I mean, all of that hard work culture, all of those many years of sterility, all those many years of people not having children. Well, guess what? The system cannot bear it anymore. They have to import labor resources. They have to import human capital. They have to get immigration from these countries that many of these people do not like. Well, too bad. Treat them with civility. Be a good citizen. I thought it was a common trait in Japan to be introverted and mind your own business. Well, why couldn't they not do that? Let people work, let people get their money, let people do construction, and mind your own business. That was a thing we were being told, many of us, when we were listening to many Japanese are saying, we Japanese, we mind our own business. We don't bother anyone. Okay. Don't bother the immigrants that are going to be coming into the country due to their low birth rates. To Japanese low birth rates. Aging population. Super aged population.
国を返せって言ったら返せって言ってください。
This is what you call crocodile tears. Crocodile tears. In other words, they're tears of anger. They're not tears of sorrow. They're tears of stubbornness. They're tears of bigotry. Our country will become a country of rape. This is terrible. We know this. We've heard about this. We have seen this, especially people of the black social status here in the United States. Oftentimes, a woman of the white social status of Euro-American descent doing it. But we have seen this. This is pathetic.
Ishiba!
Return our country, Ishiba! Return! It's so pathetic. It really is. Keep in mind, this is a country that does not even have its own military. They have a self-defense force because they are not even allowed to have a full military. Okay? They have a United States base in their country. You have other countries that are profiting from tourism like Italy. They're profiting from tourism like Brazil. All types of countries where the population is mixed. And Japan's population has a mixture too. Do not be deceived. They have Yamato, they have Ainu, they have Ryukyuan. Ryukyuan, I mean to say. And they have even Japanese people from Brazil who return to the country. I mean, considering how things are going now, maybe some of those people will basically essentially return to Brazil because of some of the craziness happening in Japan. The xenophobia is really ridiculous. The tears that's just really ridiculous. They are trying to copy the United States. They're trying to copy many of the British right-wing movements and essentially say, we were conservative too. And we're just like you, MAGA. We're just like you right-wingers over there. We're just like you. We have Japan first. You have USA first. America first. Hey, look at us. We can protest. We can protest. Yeah, your birth rate's going right down. It's not the same thing. You're in a worse situation. You can't withstand the economic blows that are going to come to you. It's already hurting the United States. The tariffs, the sort of policies that Donald Trump is doing. The prices are raising here. The economy is in a bad situation. The United States and Japanese relations worsening. You can't make it up. It's really something. These people, I tell you. Our country, return! Let me say something. A lot of people like to say, Japanese people, they're smarter than Americans. You thought so? You really thought so? You really thought so, did you? You really thought they weren't stupid, right? You're wrong. This proveth it. This proveth it. Don't come to any of us and tell us we're stupid. Don't do it. Okay? The fact that this movement has gotten to the area it has gotten, and he's going to talk about that, and then I'm going to talk about Russian influence in the little party, the Sanseito party. Japan for Japanese first. Yeah, okay. Japan! Return Japan! Oh my goodness. Where can we feel safe? Okay, let's bring up some articles about this whole rape country. This is a whole country of rape. It's gonna be a country of rape. If these immigrants come in. Let's talk about Japanese sexual culture. Okay? Let's talk about it. Because she's acting as though this is some type of big thing. Here we go. Immigrants, apparently, they act as some people act as this young woman acts. You know, in the country with the legendary penis parade, where you have real sculptures of penises. Okay, here in the penis parade. It's not a sexual country, right? Other people are sexual. Immigrants are sexual, right? Immigrants are sexual, right? Known for their penis parades. You tell me a place that has a damn penis parade. You tell me. You tell me which country has this type of thing. I do not know of one. Okay, Japan, still grappling with the problem of groping. Osaka, August 29th. Voices had been raised in Japan demanding countermeasures for molestation, which shows no sign of disappearing. What? Is it all immigrants doing that? That seems like the native Japanese population has a problem with rape culture. Okay? In June, Tokyo's Metropolitan Police Department arrested a man in his 30s on the spot of suspicion of groping a female high school student on a Tokyo Metro train running in the capital's Kota ward. The man had groped the student 2 or 3 times a week for some 10 months since August 2024. Although she got on different trains or changed the time she rode them, the man followed her persistently. Really? So Japan has a rape culture. You can call it groping or whatever you want to call it. Okay? That culture's already in the country. Where can we feel safe? Certainly not in Japan. Okay, let's do something a little bit different. We're going to go to a video of some Japanese men. Okay, this is from Marina in Japan. This is the time she got spit on, harassed, and groped by Japanese men. We're not going to play this whole video. You can go to it if you want. But here it is. So this idea, Japan is becoming a country of rape. They essentially harassed her. They crowded around her, essentially intimidating her, sort of taking advantage of that young woman. This was when she had her long hair during that time. And she was getting harassed heavy. Okay, she was getting harassed heavy, this young, as far as I know, she's Latin American, sort of Afro-Latin young woman. But I have to say, a rather black Latina, so to speak. Some people do not like the term Afro in front of their nationality or sort of their ethnic group as a prefix. So, I use the term black personally. But anyhow, yeah, that's that. So this idea, and you can find this. You can see the Japanese men. You can play the whole thing for yourself if you want to. She had about 3 Japanese men who were all up over her. You can see they're young men. They're fairly young, and they essentially, they didn't just harass her, they also spit on her. So this happens in Japan. Where can we feel safe? Well, I don't know. To be entirely honest, I don't know where you can feel safe. Okay, because immigrants are not the only ones making that country unsafe. Actually, the people making that country unsafe are mostly Japanese citizens. Mostly Yamato Japanese citizens.
As you can see in the video,
okay,
she's crying about Japan will become a rape nation if things go on like this. On top of that, there's growing talk that the former Prime Minister actually...
And notice that he is not going to affirm or disprove the validity of that claim. He won't do it because that is part of his argument. And he was very proud that that woman said that. Keep that in mind.
Actually set up some companies just to profit from immigration support programs. So meanwhile, there's a ruling party called Jiminto, which...
And so he said this, but he's not going to provide any details, any articles, any proof, any type of elaboration upon his statement. He's not going to provide that. He could, but he's not doing it. So that should make a person think, okay, can you elaborate upon that? But not only that, the truth is they need immigration as a country for their labor shortages, for their companies. Okay? The Japanese labor market is extremely taxed right now. In other words, they're under extreme pressure, extreme strain. They need workers. Japan first faces worst shortage of full-time workers since COVID-19 pandemic. Okay. Japan is facing worst shortage. Anyhow, they say with more than half of local firms understaffed, a recent survey showed. Among the 11,000 local companies that responded to the January survey, 53.4 said they need more full-time workers. Okay? So of course they're getting people to immigrate there. So this was when was this reported? September it seemeth, the 3rd, 2025. There you go. That's recent. Okay, let me play this again.
A lot of seats, and there's also a rising party called Sanseito, which has a real chance of becoming the next ruling party. They're pushing Japan first policy. So basically,
let's talk a little about this. And I may not have enough time to talk about everything that I want to talk about. But anyhow, let's talk about this Japan first. Let's talk about the man involved. Japan first, Japanese first. That's what it's really called, Japanese first. And it's not Japan first as in a nation, as in a state in which personal identity is incorporated into and absorbed into the nation. As you become a citizen of the nation, you're part of Japan. You know, regardless of race, if you're Japanese, Yamato Japanese or what have they. So Sanseito hopeful. This is their little leader here. This is their little Donald Trump over here, who is going to throw the whole nation into chaos if he getteth what he wanteth. Sanseito Hunter or hopeful does interview with Russian state media. Now, the fact that he did an interview with Russian state media, any Japanese person, any Japanese politician doing an interview on Russian state media, quite ridiculous considering that Russia is in disputes with Japan now about some islands that they would like to acquire. They want to have certain islands that are close to Japan in the north. Okay? So this man is denying his ties with Russia. And the reason I say that this is significant is because there was a war between Japan and Russia, and ever since that war, many Japanese people have been proud of the fact that their country won a war against Russia, and Japan and Russian relations are very strained. Okay? There was the Russo-Japanese War. Russia fought Japan and lost. Russia has every reason to weaken Japan's position in the world. They have every reason to support right-wing candidates like Sanseito Party, Sohei Kamiya. They have every reason to support a man like this because he will weaken Japan's position in the world. Why would you be talking to Russians? The relationship between Japan and Russia is low, pathetic. It's a big thing. Even the Japanese Nazi Party over there in Japan does not like Russia, and they're a big part of the conservative movements in Japan. All right? So this man actually had to respond to this what was being talked about. They were saying, Sohei Kamiya is talking to the Russians. What's up with that? That's kind of a no-no, a taboo here in Japan. Well, he had to deny ties with Russia. He's like, I don't have ties with Russia. Okay, a populist party surging in the polls ahead of the July 20th national election in Japan has denied any ties to Russia after one of its candidates gave an interview to Moscow state media. Japanese politics has long been dominated by the center-right Liberal Democratic Party, with populist groups remaining on the fringes. But the right-wing Sanseito Party is riding a wave of popular support for its inflammatory Japanese first. You could change that to Yamato Japanese first, and you would be to Yamato first, and you would be correct. Because that is who they are talking about. That is who they want in the country. But the problem is, Yamato Japanese is pretty weak. They're not having too many babies. They're not birthing too many children. This is a problem. This is a fertility problem. This is a culture problem for Yamato Japanese people, including opposition to globalism. Well, the world is worldwide, so whether you like globalism or not, globalism is a fact. In a country where you do not have a proper labor force that is being replenished, you're going to have to resort to worldwide trade, to immigration, and foreign capital. Opposition to foreign capital in a country that is losing capital in its economy. A country that is losing capital in its economy, you would think, would be eager to take any, huge influx of foreign capital and even immigration, considering that this country is aging and has a low birth rate. Okay? But yes. So Sanseito's latest controversy surrounds a rookie candidate known only as Saya, who gave Russia's Sputnik news agency an interview that was then published on its Japanese edition's X account on July 14th. Now this is significant in Japan, because in Japan, dealing with Russia, that's sort of a situation where you're dealing with people who are former enemies of Japan. People make this very seriously, even make very serious points about this. Even a particular person I happen to talk about on this channel, Yoko Ishii, talked about. She talked about the conflict with Russia and Japan. She's very proud of Japan's defeat of Russia. She's very proud of it, even though she is conservative Japanese. She called herself that. Okay, so Japan and Russia do not have good relations, but you have at least two candidates of Sanseito, of the Sanseito party, and the sudden appearance on Sputnik sparked a storm of confusion that fueled speculation on social media that Sanseito was Russia friendly. It is. It absolutely is. Asked if the party had any special ties with Moscow, Sanseito head Sohei Kamiya told an internet news program on July 15th, "We don't, not at all." How pathetic. What a pathetic response. Not with Russia, China, or America. We don't. We keep balanced diplomacy with any country. That's nonsense, because their biggest ally is the United States. So why are they even talking to Russia? The biggest ally of Japan that essentially protected it from Chinese aggression and North Korean aggression is the United States. So there's no such thing as balanced diplomacy with every country when you do not have an actual military and you only have a self-defense force, and the United States is the country that has a military base in Okinawa. No, there's no balanced diplomacy. Most of your diplomacy, your biggest partner is the United States. Mr. Kamiya added, "To say we're pro-Russian just because she appeared on Sputnik, I think that's too simplistic." Yeah, this man is, wow, and people fell for this idiot? People actually fell for this man, and they thought, he's working for Japan. Oh, you think so? You think he's working for your country? You think he's working in your best interest? Wow. Kamiya attributed the Saya Sputnik appearance to human error, saying she had no knowledge this was being organized. Wow. So you just do things, just make mistakes just aimlessly. He clarified that a staff member with no authority had told Miss Saya without prior consultation with the party headquarters that she was allowed to accept Sputnik's interview request. Oh, I bet. Sanseito's stance on Russia has come under scrutiny before, after Mr. Kamiya said Moscow should not be held entirely responsible for the war in Ukraine. Wow, Japan had a war with Russia. Opinion of Russia in Japan is very low. Many Japanese people are proud they defended their country against the Russian nation. That is a point of pride for many Japanese. I've heard Japanese people talk about it. The fact that he has such good ideas about Russia, wow, that's something. Okay. And I do not even really support Ukraine like other people do. So anyhow, Russia's military invasion was of course bad, but there are forces in the U.S. that drove Russia into doing that. Why are you talking about the biggest ally that you have the most, that the Japanese nation has the most to gain from, like that? Because you would think you would just not even speak about it, considering that the United States is providing the Japanese self-defense force with weapons. They are protecting them from Chinese aggression on the high seas. Is this a joke? So I said once that it's not fair to say Russia is the only bad guy here, and then people are saying, I'm pro-Russian, he added. I tell you, this guy sounds like an idiot. He looks like an idiot. Why do people trust him? That's funny. So, Japanese Deputy Chief Cabinet Secretary Kazuhiko Aoki said on July 16th, Japan is also becoming a target of foreign election interference through social media and other means. According to local media reports, the same thing happened in the United States with Donald Trump. Donald Trump now he's essentially, he does not do any type of, he lets Vladimir Putin do what he wants. He's not providing any type of resistance in regard to the war in Ukraine, even though he has, the interests of the United States at hand. But he's being very complimentary towards Vladimir Putin, to be frank. So that's just very interesting. Do I support Ukraine? Do I support Russia? I don't support any of them. But it's just the truth regarding a national situation. You have Sanseito, Japanese first, essentially operating with Russians. You have MAGA, essentially very cordial regarding Russia. All right? Now, essentially you have, what is this? This is MAGA-style anti-globalist politics arriving in Japan. MAGA style, that's what it is. They just copied Donald Trump. That's all they did. That's what it is. That's who Sohei Kamiya is. That's all he is a little Japanese Donald Trump, copying off of him because he cannot come up with his own ideas. Let's talk about the info war that Russia is doing in Japan. Let's talk a little about it. One moment, please. What do we have here? Russian state-controlled propaganda and its proxies, pro-Russian political actors in Japan. This is published by Cambridge University. Let's see if we can find anything else that we may be able to read a little bit into, without downloading a whole PDF, souffle. One moment, viewers. Okay, excuse me. I'm gonna drink some water. All right. Okay. One moment. I'm trying to find something that the responses to because some groups, some websites are going to specifically talk about Russian propaganda in Japan, and a lot of it is right-wing propaganda targeting conservatives to sway Japan in a certain direction. So if Russia intensifies propaganda operations in Japan, inserted among Sputnik Japan's posts or messages promoting favorable recognition of Russia's position regarding its invasion of Ukraine. So they have not only that interest, but also the interest of essentially weakening Japan as a nation, because they've had former hostilities with Japan before in a previous war. Not to mention the fact that Japan is a United States ally, a very major United States ally, probably one of the biggest United States ally, including Taiwan, in Asia. So between Taiwan and Japan, they are major United States allies in Asia. Taiwan and Japan are major, yes, they're major allies. So the dissemination of posts on the Japanese X account of a media outlet affiliated with the Russian government more than tripled in number in 2024 compared with the previous year, an indication that Russia has been intensifying its information operations in Japan. Some posts appear to originate from Japan and contain disinformation about Russia's invasion of Ukraine, as well as friendly messages aimed at gaining followers. So they're trying to gain followers, they're trying to gain support for Japanese, they're trying to get Japanese people to sort of essentially support Russia, which maketh no sense, because a lot of Japanese, they know about the war that Japan have with Russia, and many Japanese people are very skeptical of Russia in general as a nation. That war although it was a long time ago, many Japanese people sort of have a complex, a sort of idea about that you cannot really trust Russia. But you see, this group, they're working with Russia. They're doing interviews with them.
They just want Japan to limit immigration a lot more strictly. And finally, here is the footage of Sansei Party leader.
They basically don't want it. So they have the Sanseito party leader say, we are not discriminating against immigrants, against foreigners. Even yesterday during my street speech, a foreigner cheered me on. And you will find the occasional Euro-American or European of the white social status who, Europe is becoming a home to immigrants. There's so many immigrants. And I'm thinking, all of that long period of becoming a developed country, of going into other nations, stealing resources, conquering lands, it's no surprise to have so many immigrants. The same could be said of Japan. Japanese military went all over Asia during World War II, conquering, debilitating economies, engaging in genocides and all manner of things. So, to be honest, all of that is just par for the course. And so, if you have a nation that has a more high-grade currency, people will go to it, they will immigrate to it, to essentially basically make a profit. And so, yeah, you have some especially people of the white social status who will support everything that this man is doing, but it's a nation, Japan is a nation that has a severely low birth rate. They have schools that have been closed because of a low population. They have 9 million vacant homes. This man is essentially a Russian asset, just like Donald Trump is a Russian asset. This stuff is well known. Okay. I mean, there have been news articles talking about it. Okay, he said, I'm French, but I agree with you with 100%. You have conservative movements in France, you have conservative movements in all these countries, but they're not supporting Japan. They just want to voice their own bigoted ideals. The problem is that Japan is in a whole different situation where their population is severely low, they have a labor shortage, and they need workers. And so they're going to need immigrants eventually. Okay, let me play this. He said, France and Germany have already become a terrible mess. All right, go into detail, politician. Politicians like to keep things simple. Oh, they become a mess. They become a mess. And I know this, they become a mess. Okay, what about Japan's situation? Japan is not France or Germany. Japan is different than France and Germany. Japan has labor shortages and a population problem, and an aging population, severely aging population, rivaling any sort of, population problems the Western world has. So you see, politicians keep things simple because they keep things simple and stupid because they know most of the people listening to them cannot understand really complex explanations, and they like simple solutions, simple ideas. He's not giving solutions. He's just saying, keep the immigrants out. Keep the immigrants out. Are you going to raise that birth rate? You have a high school girl talking about, oh, my children won't be able to. We do not even know if you will have children, or if you even have children now. Okay? So you hear lies from people, and you think, how many children are you willing to have when it seems as though many young women and men in the population are not having many children, and they choose to. They're not getting married. They're not having children. So what is it? What is the solution when you have a whole population that is essentially choosing not to produce? And Japan, and you hear this a lot. Oh, Japan shouldn't do what Europe did, what Germany or France or Britain did to so many immigrants. You mostly hear this from racists of the white social status who do not know anything about the history of their countries. You had a whole East India Company of British a British company where they were using Indian labor. A lot of Indians came over. You had Jamaicans who were working for the British, British Empire. They were sent over to Britain. A lot of these people migrated to Britain. A lot of these nations that were essentially empire states, where essentially were taking land and resources from other countries, have these same people in their countries, and they will continue to go to their countries. They will continue to immigrate to their countries because, frankly, fair is fair. It's just the truth. If you're going to conquer people, expect people to come to your countries. Japan is different. They're facing a serious population crisis. And if they don't get immigration to work in their country, they're going to be a weaker country for it because that population is not going to grow overnight. And they are still having problems with their birth rate. It's not getting any higher. And if, it's very low. That's what that French person told me. They're conservative too. They're conservative just like me. Don't you want to be conservative? Don't you want to be a right-winger and support your country? The problem is, being a right-winger in Japan is worse for Japan than it is for any other country. I mean, there are times for everything, and it could not have come at a worst possible time. Russian interests are already involved in Japanese elections and politics. So really, this is a pathetic spectacle because that man, okay, he's going to worsen the whole Japanese economy. They think rice prices are bad now. Wait until you start antagonizing immigrant labor on a massive scale. And it's already happening to an extent because people are becoming more hateful. But don't worry. If you antagonize the immigrant worker population enough, they will know not to come to your country. And the population of workers will lessen. That is the opinion of a reasonable foreigner. This guy is such a complete, I tell you. I mean, you keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple, stupid for the people who don't, who you can't explain things to them in a nuanced way. You have to keep it simple, stupid. Japan staying true to itself. That's the Japan they love. If Japan becomes like America, China, France, or Germany, it will lose its charm. Alright, excuse me, what did you even say? Because when people elect you, when people vote for you, they want to hear about policy. Notice that this man did not say anything about policy, did not say anything about solutions. He's trying to make those people feel good, just like Donald Trump made people feel good. Say, well, I'm going to make grocery prices go down. Oh, really? How are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? You're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. You're a liar. That's what you are. Souffle. Thou art a liar. In sooth. But I have to say, this is par for the course. This is something we expect. If you've been around long enough, you know. You know what this is. You know what type of situation this is. This is just, it is against the interests of the nation. And the fact is, he's not providing solutions. He's just talking. And he's just making them feel good. That's all he's doing. Okay? He's not doing anything else. Notice, and you can just tell, he's like, what should I say to basically to stoke him up? I want to get him emotional. I want to get him excited. Because he's not talking about the population crisis. He's not talking about the birth rate. He's not talking about the aging population. He's not talking about what can be done about it. The truth is, if you're not going to have more children, if the population is not going to produce more children, it's too late now, because the population has already dipped so low that even if you had, they've already tried efforts to get people to have more children. They're not having them. And so it has gotten to this point where there's a labor shortage, there's a population shortage, and they are looking to have an influx of people through immigration. That is what the current party, the current system's doing, because they don't have enough workers. Imagine if the labor parties or whoever is in control now, if their plan does not work and you have the Sanseito essentially take the country by storm, they are going to intentionally weaken the country for the Russians who supported them. You already have a disinformation campaign by Russia. Why are they doing this? Because Japan is an enemy of Russia, that is why. And it has been an enemy of Russia ever since the Russo-Japanese War. Japan is an ally of the United States. There's no such thing as balanced diplomacy. That is how you know this man is a liar. You have allies that are very close, and you have allies who are, maybe a bit further, and you have people who are outright enemies, and Russia is not an ally of Japan. It is not. It tried to go to war with Japan. That's not an ally of Japan. So there you go. We're simply saying that we should build a way to keep Japan being Japan. This is pathetic. I tell you, I knew that this man was spewing a bunch of bottom of the barrel stuff, but my goodness. Listen. If you are looking at this and listening to this, you will notice he is not saying anything substantive. He is not talking about how to solve any problem in the country at all. Wow, and I heard the Japanese people had high IQs. They were smart people. They went to college. I heard all these things, but seeing so many people fall for this man. Wow. Wow. If you're Japanese and you're listening to this, you're not much better. Many of you, or at least some of you, are not much better than many of the Americans here who have gotten stuck with Donald Trump as the president or are dealing with tariff, higher prices, all manner of economic problems. Okay? That's interesting. Not to say I voted, but this is interesting. I certainly wouldn't vote for Trump. If we let in too many foreigners all at once, the shape of society will change. And various systems won't be sustainable, causing the nation itself to change. You notice he's not explaining himself. This man is actually worse than Donald Trump. He isn't saying anything substantial. He said, the nation will change. Well, yes, the nation will change because they will have more money to invest in certain systems. If they have more immigrants, even those who go through some amnesty program or become citizens somehow, and it's awfully hard to become a citizen in Japan, but you will have more money to pay for the welfare programs for the older citizens. Social Security, helping the sick, keeping the national healthcare system afloat. You need taxes to do that. How are you going to do that when you have a population that is dying out, aging out? You can't do that. This man is a complete liar. He's not talking about any solutions. This man is a complete liar. He's a liar, I tell you. People thought Donald Trump would not cut a lot of government programs, and he did. He brought in Elon Musk, and they went to just basically doing all types of cuts to government spending in terms of programs for the old, for the poor, for the sickly, for all types of people. This is not a joke. Okay. Welfare programs that helped a lot of poor citizens of all races. Let me be frank.
のが維持できなくなって、ね、国が形が変えられてしまうから、それをやめましょうって言ってるんですよ。
I want you guys
Okay, he said, we're here to stop that. Okay, he didn't say one thing substantial. You see this man? This is the face of an imbecile. This is the face of a lemming. This is the face of a complete... I've lost all respect for this man after hearing that. He's stupid. He really is. To even entertain things of that sort. This man did not give you any solution at all.
to take this into your account. And here's my honest opinion. Like in my opinion, I don't want Japan to accept a huge numbers of immigrants. I mean, if you look at countries like...
Okay, let me say this. If they do not want to accept huge numbers of immigrants, they better somehow do a miracle or something. They better get that birth rate up. It's a little too late now, but hell. Okay, they need more children. They need more workers. All of those young Japanese people who have been going to Tokyo, to the cities, out of the countryside, okay, into the cities to find work. Well, Japan needs more of a labor force. Instead of getting that office job, maybe work in construction, so your country can get some buildings built. Okay? The rice prices are increasing. Maybe go to the country and do agricultural labor. Are Japanese people going to do that? You can get in those jobs. You can basically try to replace this foreign influx because someone needs to do it. Hell, maybe if you, as a citizen, stay in that profession, maybe you can form unions. Maybe you can improve working conditions for those labor jobs. Okay. So there's no reason to complain. Japan is in this situation. So why pretend that it's not? Okay. So I mean, we can look at that peril of aging out. You got 9 million vacant homes. 9 million vacant homes in Japan that are empty. Okay. Weeds and vines grow around an abandoned house in Okuma, Japan on March 9th, 2023, ahead of ceremonies to mark the 10th anniversary of the 2011 Tohoku earthquake. And earthquakes can even lower populations, honestly. So, I tell you, some of the things you hear on the internet is quite something.
Like Germany, the UK, Canada, you can see how taking in a large numbers of immigrants has led to
Germany, the UK, and all of those other countries have different situations. And Japan is in a worse situation in terms of its labor shortage. Not to say all of those countries mentioned do not also have those same problems. But Japan has 9 million vacant homes. Okay? That's not a problem that those countries have. You have school closures. Someone needs to go to the schools. Someone needs to be in the homes. Okay, the home, will take anyone. The home doesn't care about your skin color. Okay, this is something else, but let me paste and go. You have people, schools are closing. Population is low. It's really pathetic, if I'm being honest.
serious problems with public safety and social stability.
Public safety and social stability, says this Yamato man, right? Well, we talked about that. The women, some women on trains. Okay, problem of groping. You have men following young women around. all this talk about social stability. Okay, that's very interesting. Okay, I showed you the one where you had a young woman who was spit on. These men were groping her in Japan. Social stability, right? These people are going to make Japan so dangerous. You have a comedian who often doff essentially sort of grifts sort of for the far right in Japan. He has a video called "Why Did Japanese Sexually Harass on the Train?" Not foreigners, Japanese. Japan's problem with subway groping. Okay. I mean, this is obvious. Oh, but Japan's unsafe if foreigners come here. No, Japan would be unsafe if foreigners were not there. It would still be unsafe. Japan is not safe. There's no such thing as a safe country. That's stupid. Oh my goodness, this guy, this is the face of a vacuous. Even looking at him, he looks like his head is empty. He looks like he has that vacant stare, where it's this vacancy in his eyes. Like, is there anything in your head? I listened to this man talk, the Sanseito leader, Sohei Kamiya. Sohei Kamiya was not stating any points about how to adequately and with substance, how he could essentially affect the country in a positive way. This man is a charlatan. This man is a snake oil salesman. And Trump was too, and our economy is terrible today. It's ridiculous.
It would be much dangerous out here. If Japan went down the same path, we will probably face the same problem. And now, some people might say this sounds so racist. But
oh, it is. And the fact that you said that just goes to show that you were thinking the same thing that many of us were. And you know it's true. That's why you mentioned it. That's why you mentioned it. You mentioned it because you know it is racist, but you don't actually care. You know, but you do care, because if you did not care, you would not try to essentially do some, essentially tell us, oh, well, you may think this is racist, but, okay.
But I don't think it is, because, like Lincoln said,
then why are you telling us it is? Why are you assuming that we think it is racist? Why are you assuming that we think it is racist? If it is so not racist, why would that be an assumption in your mind that we, the audience, would think it is racist? No, you know what you're doing. You know your party, your Sanseito party, has no solutions, no points. The man is not explaining how he is going to change anything for the Japanese economy. But you like him because he says, well, you don't need, we should be against immigrants. We should be against immigration. We change Japan. Okay, how are you going to change Japan? We make it better. Really? You're going to make it better. How are you going to do that? Well, we get rid of these immigrants so we don't need them. What else? What else? We're waiting for you to tell us how you're going to affect Japan in a good way. But I tell you, this guy, he's a bit dim. There's not much going on up there. It's not much going on up here. Okay, you can tell. The man did not tell any of you how he's going to do anything. He didn't give you solutions about the birth rate. He didn't give you solutions about labor. I was more substantive than this man. I tell you, it's ridiculous.
Government of the people, by the people, for the people. In that case,
you lack people. Government for the aging population, government by the aging population, government for the aging population, The population is getting old. The population is dying out. The population is not having many children. The country is dying. Countries need people. Countries need labor. If you don't want to do the labor, the country will find other people to do it. They don't care that you are Yamato Japanese. They will make an Indian a citizen. They will make an African a citizen if that is what they need to do to pay the Social Security, to keep the country afloat, to pay taxes, to keep the schools open. They will take these immigrants in. Either they're working there or they even naturalize them as citizens. They will get somewhere to stay in the country and do work. If you don't want to do the labor jobs, they'll find someone to do the labor jobs. Maybe they won't even pay them that well, but they will be there.
The people meant Americans, right? So naturally, Japan's government should work for Japanese people. Just like
Okay, what is an American? Because when he saith American, I imagine he is talking about just people of the white social status. Because frankly, this whole country is comprised of many immigrant groups. I am an American. I am of the black social status. You have people who are American who are Latin American. Okay, you have all types of Americans. You have Americans who come from Canada. You have Americans who they're all citizens. That's the difference. The United States does not have some type of severe population problem. It's not to the point where the United States has 9 million vacant homes, closing schools because they don't have enough people to fill the schools. This is Japan. This is not the United States. They're different. Stop talking about Japan like it's in the same situation as European nations. And the United States, it is not. It's in a very, very bad population crisis. Wow, this guy, I tell you.
like the UK's government should work for the British people. Japanese people just want to preserve our own culture.
Wow. The fact that if you can't preserve your own culture in the face of dealing with different people, you don't deserve to have it. You can do that. Us black Americans have our own culture. We preserve our own culture. You have Sikhs from the East India Company moved to Britain. They preserve their own culture. You have Arabs in all types of places. They preserve their own culture. How do you mean to tell me you, as Japanese, you have your own country, Yamato Japanese, not Ainu or Ryukyuan, all right? Yamato race. You mean to tell me you can't preserve your own culture? That's pretty sad.
Keep our society safe. If we accept a massive wave of immigrants, Japan won't be the Japan that everybody loves anymore. That being said, I'm not totally against immigration. I think.
Wow. I mean, it's so fun. Oh, Japan won't be the same Japan. It won't be. Okay, give your argument. How are your politicians doing anything to solve Japan's population crisis and labor shortage? How's this Sohei Kamiya, who goes to Russian news stations, whose people in the Sanseito party, like Saya or whatever her name is, who go and talk to Sputnik media from Russia, how are they going to change things positively for Japan? Talking to enemies of Japan. What solutions do they have to improve the Japanese economy? When we listen to this man, he didn't say one thing about improving Japan in any time. He didn't give us one plan. He didn't give us any details. He didn't give us any details about any policies. This is, we can't let Japan change. We can't let them change. We can't let us change because immigration. Okay, how are you going to supplant the immigrant labor needed to essentially fulfill the needs of labor shortages? How are you going to supplant the need for labor Do you have labor to replace the labor that those immigrants were going to fill? I tell you, this is the face of a real, oh my goodness, the face of a fool. These eyes, vacant look. It's like he's staring into space right now. It's like he's not even in this world right now. He's high on stupidity.
I think Japan should accept people who respect our culture, traditions.
Listen, let me be real frank. The people who are coming to Japan for money, for work, for labor, who are going to be working laborious construction jobs and all of that, they are coming there for money. The Filipino, the Indian, the Africans, let me be very frank. Do not be surprised if many of them could care less about your culture, but they will be respectful to get the money they need, and they don't care about anything else. Worry about the Japanese people who are groping women on the trains and stalking them. Maybe worry about that first. We have news stories that I can easily go to and find of real Japanese people doing that. I don't need to respect your culture to go and get a job. I respect you. I deal with you. We'll do business. I won't be rude. I go to work, get my money, come home. With all due respect, I don't need to learn anything. I can learn the bare minimum. If I follow the laws of your country, do work and get paid, that's what I came there for. You have a labor shortage, you cannot be picky about laborers. Because these people like him, they want to impose on the immigrants who are going to fulfill their labor needs, Japan's labor needs. Is he going to do hard construction work? No, he will not. The country's aging and they have a low birth rate. If his people did it, they would not need foreign immigrants. They need them now because of the situation the country is in. So there you go. It's really pathetic, but it's just the reality of the situation.
And full law abiding. But overall, we need to be very cautious and learn some lessons from those Europe countries. One major reason behind the decline birth rate is economy.
Okay, can he give details? Because those European countries are in very different situations than Japan. I mean, not to say they're not facing some of the problems, but Japan's problems are way different. I never heard a story like this in Europe. I never heard a story like this in America, in Canada, in the United States. I never heard about 9 million vacant homes that has no one living in them because of population decline. That's sad. They're teasing you. CNN is teasing you. They're teasing Japan. I mean, Japan's situation is a joke over here in the United States. Do you realize that? Do you realize that your country, its situation is a joke here? Even the people for reputable news organizations are laughing at you. They're laughing at your country's situation. I don't know what to say. I mean, if he was going to say something, I would like to hear policy. How are you going to change the situation? One major reason behind the declined birth rate is economic. Okay. Well, when is it going to be fixed? Because there's many countries like India, they have poor economies. They have very poor economies, but they have a high birth rate. India has the highest birth rate in the world, and they have a poor economy. They have often poor people. So this idea, this is a low birth rate. There's African countries that have a high birth rate, and they could care less about the economy. They're still having babies. They're still having children. They're still having high fertility and pregnancies. They're still producing human capital for their states. Now, those states may be their countries may be overexploited by European nations and other, nations like the United States. But hey, as poor as many of those people are, they're still furnishing their population with human capital. Yes, nations use humans as fuel. Oh, let's wait around. Let's be cautious. Yeah, well, I'm sorry, that ship hath sailed. It sailed a long time ago. So, yes, politicians are now trying to increase immigration. Do you have any solutions, mister? I heard your man. I heard Sohei Kamiya. Sohei Kamiya did not have any solutions. You played the man. You played the video of the man. What was he telling us to do? What was he telling you? Not me. You and your ilk, the Yamato, Japanese, the proud Yamato. Yamato meaneth spirit of Japan. What is he telling you to do? Oh, children of Amaterasu. What is he telling you to do? He didn't give any solutions. He didn't give any policies. But what I see before myself here and now is a man with some vacant. What are you thinking? It seems like you don't have a thought in your head. I mean, you can just see that stare, that gaze in his eyes. It's something about it. It's like you're not thinking. You're not realizing this man isn't telling you anything. All he's doing is getting you emotional. You're not actually thinking. You're not thinking about what this man is. It's pathetic.
Economic. A lot of families want to have children, but they can't afford it. To address this, Japan needs to strengthen its economy and retain taxation and social security and improve job security, especially for people stuck in unstable and non-regular employment. However, in my opinion, maybe we don't actually need to fix the birth rate that much, because I think technology is advancing so fast that we will simply need fewer workers in the future. Think about it. In elderly care,
this guy has to be crazy. When the things he said, the level of stupidity that just came out of his mouth is unbelievable. Okay, are you going to get machines to do construction labor? You tell me how you're going to get machines to do construction labor. I'm sorry, AI is not going to build buildings. AI is not going to pick certain crops. I mean, you're going to create a robot to pick tomatoes? Get out of here. You're going to make a robot to pick apples and do agricultural labor? No. You're going to build a robot to build buildings? No, you don't have the money to build robots because you need human capital to pay taxes. Oh my goodness, this is crazy. This guy, he's not smart. He's not smart. I mean, wow, congratulations that you learned how to speak English, but I'm sorry, you're not that intelligent. You're not. Maybe you're bilingual, you can speak Japanese and English, but you're not that intelligent. Oh my goodness. Oh, the birth rate's low, but that's okay. It's okay. Is this what their leader is saying? Is this what their leaders, is this what is he saying this? Is this what he's giving them? Oh my goodness, you have to be joking. Let me tell you, you have to be joking. This guy he's taking you, I mean, all for Russia, right? All to weaken Japan, all to weaken United States and Japanese relations. He's doing a good job. I tell you, people, this happened too in the United States, but I mean, there was a whole Russian influence here. But let's get something real simple for us to look at with Donald Trump and the whole MAGA movement. See what this is. Major world leader calls Trump a Russian asset during speech. So President Donald Trump speaks during a meeting with South Korean President Lee Jae-myung, or whatever his name is. In the Oval Office of the White House Monday, August 25th, 2025 in Washington. Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, the president of Portugal, surprised Portuguese citizens in more ways than one this week when he attended a PSD, Portugal Socialist Party Summer University event. The president, who was scheduled to speak at the event via video call, instead appeared at the event in person to give an address to a panel titled "The President's Responses." According to the De Sousa, to the Portugal press. But basically, he was talking about the president's relationship with Russia. He saith the top leader of the world's foremost superpower is objectively a Soviet or Russian asset, De Sousa said. Hey, listen to Portugal. Listen to Portugal. Listen to Portugal, young man. Because your man here from Sanseito is talking to Russians on Russian TV stations. The relationship with Russia in Japan has never been good ever since the Russo-Japanese War itself. Japan has some islands up in the north of that continent, of that nation rather. And Russia has wanted to get certain islands close to Japan for a long time. Your Sanseito man is talking to the Russians. This is highly unpopular in Japan. Japan went to war with Russia once. They didn't reconcile that. I mean, sure, there was some type of agreement, but this is bad blood. Hell, it's some bad blood even left over from the World War II war with the United States, but most certainly with Russia. I mean, that's not something necessarily popular. I mean, your man is talking to the Russians, but I tell you, it's so ridiculous. We can go through article after article and look at how crazy most of the things have been happening in regard to Russia and the United States, the influencing campaigns. We have here well-known right-wing influencers duped for covert Russian operation, U.S. prosecutors say. They have millions of followers online. They've been major players in the right-wing political discourse since Donald Trump was president. And they worked unknowingly, so they claim. I don't believe they were working unknowingly. They likely knew exactly what they were doing. You know, so a lot of these people working for Russia, they're receiving Russian money. They're trying to fulfill Russian interests. You have Tim Pool right here. You have a lot of these people. You have, I think that man's Rubin or whatever. You have all these people working for Russian interests. Meet the right-wing Canadian influencers accused of collaborating with an alleged Russian propaganda scheme. Lauren Shin, all of these people working with Russia. You trust you trust a party that openly goes on state-sponsored Russian TV stations. They've shown you who they're allied with. You really want to ally with a Russian plant? Is this a joke? Are you serious? Art thou serious? Lord knoweth.
We already see some care robots in remote medical systems. In retail and logistics, we've got self-checkout systems, warehouse automations, and delivery drones.
You need money to do that. You need taxes to do that. Why do you think there's such a big tourism market in Japan now? This guy, he ain't too swift. He ain't too swift. All that warehouse automation, delivery drones, all that costs money. All of it costs money. The businesses need labor. The businesses need money. The businesses need people in the country putting money into the country. They need people to make money, to get profit in the country, to pay for things. Many Japanese people are having a hard time buying rice now, much less expecting to get paid much in terms of Social Security, considering how the country's economy is going. The looks this guy has on his face are just completely, it's like there's nothing in his mind. What are you thinking about? What is happening in that head of yours? What's in your heart to make you like this? Why are you so... everything will be all right. We know the birth rate's low, but it's okay. It's okay, man. We're just fine. We're just the Japanese way. Just Japan ain't gonna change. Yeah, ain't gonna change. No, it's gonna change whether you like it or not. That's what's gonna happen. I mean, you think your aging population, your dying nation with its low birth rate and its aging population is somehow going to be sustainable? You really think they're going to be able to afford all of these things? China is beating Japan in the AI race. Japan is not even a factor in AI, artificial intelligence. Wow. He doesn't know, does he? Or else he is really just a person who is working for propaganda. He doesn't have to make sense because it's just pure propaganda. Wow. But you have a woman say it's going to be the rape nation. Meanwhile, you have a penis parade. All these immigrants are so sexual, right? These immigrants are so sexual, huh? So sexual. But you have a country that has a literal penis parade. Get out of here. You have a country that literally has problems with men groping, stalking, trying to essentially follow women. These people are Japanese. Okay. What a joke. I tell you. What a big joke.
In office work, the AI is already handling a lot of routine tasks.
Wow. This guy is crazy. Oh my goodness, he's crazy. He's crazy. Excuse me, I have to take a break, viewers. Let's play this water here and bird sounds. Let me just say, AI and technology cannot replace everything. Automation cannot replace everything. This isn't like anime. This isn't Gundam. Okay, this isn't some super, futuristic anime. No, you need people to pay taxes, to be in the nation, to buy things, to give the nation money. You need tourism. You need all of these things in the nation that does not have really stable industries, where you don't need tourism, you don't need immigration, you need a stable population in order not to need immigrants. If you don't have a population that is able to replenish itself, you need immigrants. Okay, you do. The solutions this guy has, because you see, the funny thing is he's trying to provide solutions because his man, Sanseito leader Sohei Kamiya, did not provide solutions. He had no solutions to offer.
GPT is your best friend, right? These things are not just ideas. They are already being put into practice, and they are only gonna get better. So instead of display...
Okay, where's the money gonna come from for these delivery drones? Where's the money? Because after all, his idea is that instead of having actual people deliver things like mail and things like that, you're just going to have delivery drones. You're just going to have all these things, all these people who are a population is strengthening with 9 million vacant homes, disappearing schools because you don't have enough people to go to schools. You're not going to have a good deal of immigration. You want to be strict. You want to treat people like they're nothing. When they come to your country, so you have to accept our culture. Be like us. Some people just want to get their money, and they could care less about learning about you. They want to do their work, and they want to get their money. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to follow the laws. They're going to follow the laws. You may not like their culture as an Indian or an African or whoever else. But when they come in, and they are, because you folks don't have any plans, this man did not offer any solutions. He's just saying, we want to keep Japan the way it is. We want to keep Japan the way it is. That's it. This man is talking about ChatGPT. Get ChatGPT to construct a building. Get ChatGPT to lay some bricks. Get ChatGPT to do some road work, to pave and tar roads. Get ChatGPT to help people during earthquakes. Get robots to help your aging relatives when they have to go to nursing homes. People have to do that. If you do not have a population of people who are going to do that, what are you going to do? I tell you, this is ridiculous. This guy is, well, he's not too bright. He's not too swift. He's pretty slow. Yes, he is.
They're trying to increase the population. Japan might solve the problem by leaning into technology.
Wow.
This is why I think Japan should be very cautious about a large-scale immigration. The reason I decided to make this...
Is that it? AI technology. We don't need workers anymore. We are in the future. We have robots to do things like construction. Agriculture work. We have a robot to pick apples. No, you don't. Stop lying. Oh my goodness, even this guy was smart enough not to let even this fool was smart enough not to let people know he did not have a plan. He did not state any solutions because he had no plan. Oh my goodness. Wow. Oh my goodness. I tell you. Oh goodness, Lord, please have mercy upon these people. They are so crazy.
This video isn't just to talk to Japanese people. Honestly,
because you would not be speaking English otherwise. Why are you not talking to Japanese people? Because you don't have a plan. This is all for clicks and views. This is all for propaganda. I mean, clearly you're not talking to Japanese people, because if you were talking to Japanese people, you would be speaking in Japanese. If you're speaking in English, you want foreigners from the United States, from the European Union, from Britain. You want us to watch your video. You're not talking to Japanese people. Most Japanese people probably don't even care. The protest you showed was small. That's not big. If that's big to you, hey, I don't know what world you live on. Hell, you've never seen a big protest before, friend. But you've never seen a big protest. You never have. You should come over here. You'll see big protests.
Really want people outside Japan to know more about these issues too. Japan's immigration policy and the decline brutally are only Japan's problem. They are issues that a lot of developed countries will face in the future. That's why I think it's really important for people to understand what's really happening in Japan right now. And this is not about being racist. This is happening to a lot of countries. All right.
Let me ask one question. Whatever this guy's name is, why do you keep mentioning that? No one is talking to you. And frankly, you keep saying, this is not about being racist. You said that before. Why do you keep mentioning being racist in regard to what you were talking about? Because you're projecting onto yourself what we think. You're assuming we think it is racist. Why are you assuming that we think what you are saying and what you are proposing is racist? Since you are not likely to respond, let me respond. Because it is. It's racist. And you know it is. Your country is literally not in a situation where they can refuse. They're going to have to accept what you call mass immigration at some point because their labor force is not cutting it. Your birth rate is not cutting it over there. Your politicians want to bring in revenue to your country. You may not like it, but the country does not care. They want money. They want the country to function, and they need labor, and they need human bodies. They have 9 million vacant homes. What do you think they want to do with them? They want to fill them. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. This man is talking about ChatGPT. This man is talking about AI. He's talking about automation. You think automation is going to be buildings, houses, hospitals? You need construction labor to do that. If you don't have enough of these young people willing to do it, they are going to have to ship in people to do it. Oh my goodness, this is pathetic.
Against mass immigration nowadays. Of course, this is just my personal opinion.
Oh, goodness.
But by sharing my thought, I hope people can get a better idea.
Your personal opinion is terrible. It's not very helpful at all. You have no solutions. Your solutions will not work. Your solutions are terrible. Your solutions are actually, I have no words to explain how bad your solutions are. That's how horrible your solutions are. Wow. Oh my goodness.
Idea of what Japanese people are thinking and what kind of path Japanese might take. And if this video helps even a little to raise awareness or some kind of impact.
Let me give you this. It has raised my awareness about how some people in Japan, there are some people who are even more stupid than many of the people here in the United States. Thank you. Thank you for showing me how dumb a person of the Yamato race, a child of Amaterasu, can be. Wow. Thank you. I did not know that many of you could be this ideologically stupid and blinded. I did not know that there were people over there who were this crazy. What you're saying is crazy because you need labor to build things, to do things essential in a country. AI won't do it. A robot won't do it. Automation won't do it. You need labor to do that. Countries will always need labor. Countries will always need money coming from living, breathing people. They will always need tourists. They will always need immigrants. They will always need immigrants who become citizens. They need human capital. They need money. They need workers. Countries cannot function without this. I expected some type of solution from him. I got nothing. I was expecting a solution from this man, but I should have known. I said, this man is trying to play like a little Japanese Trump. Meanwhile, the Russian propaganda machine is in full swing. In full swing. Okay. Some of the things the Sanseito man is talking about is crazy. Talking about Japan joining the nuclear arms race. If Japan ever did this, If Japan ever did this, South Korea would be against it, and China. Not to mention the Philippines. Every country Japan went to war with in World War II would basically, and this is the Seiya they were talking about, spoke to Sputnik. I'm telling you, they sure are bamboozling these people. They're pulling the wool right over their heads, and they're falling for it. You deserve everything you get. If that's what you want to choose, you deserve everything you get.
Back on the issue, that would mean a lot to me.
Wow. What I witnessed was stupidity. Was unfiltered stupidity. Oh my goodness, I have to calm down, viewers. This was terrible. This was terrible. I would like to say, may you be blessed, and farewell, viewers. Goodness.